Hello and a very good morning. You're watching Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tina Jha. Let's begin with the headlines this morning. Centre announces lifting of President's rule in Uttarakhand after Harish Rawat proves majority in the floor test. Rawat to hold cabinet meeting today. In a record of sorts, Rajya Sabha passes 5 key bills within few hours on Wednesday. Lok Sabha adjourned sine die. Close on the heels of a suspension, JDU MLC Manorama Devi faces arrest. Mother of Rocky Yadav, who allegedly shot dead a teenager in Gaya, is now absconding. Marathon debate underway in the Brazilian Senate ahead of vote on impeachment of President Dilma Rousseff. And at least 94 people killed and 150 injured in triple car bomb explosions in various parts of Baghdad. Islamic State claimed responsibility. With President's rule in Uttarakhand having been lifted, Chief Minister Harish Rawat has convened a meeting of the state cabinet today. Rawat's party has said that a formal assumption of office by the Chief Minister is not necessary since he does not have to take charge from anyone else. They cited the Supreme Court's order which said that Rawat can assume office of the Chief Minister after the President's rule is revoked. Remember, the Supreme Court yesterday put the Harish Rawat-led Congress government back in the saddle in Uttarakhand, allowing the central government to revoke President's rule following Rawat's victory in the floor test.
Congress workers celebrating in Uttarakhand on a day when the Supreme Court puts its stamp of approval on the vote of confidence in the Assembly. The verdict reinstated the Harish Rawat government 6 weeks after the centre unseated him. After 9 disqualified MLAs were barred from voting, Rawat got 33 votes out of the 61 MLAs in the floor test.
हमारे लिए जरूर उत्तराखंड के लिए जरूर ये टाइम बहुत तनाव का रहा, असमंजस का रहा, नाना प्रकार के कई नुकसान उत्तराखंड को झेलने पड़े, मगर मेरा हमारे साथियों का सबका हमने अभी बातचीत की, हमारा मानना है अंत भला शो भला और यहां से हम एक नई शुरुआत कर सकें.
The victory was a shot in the arm for the Congress. Party Vice President Rahul Gandhi lashed out at the BJP on Twitter.
This was a bad attempt which they had made. Finally, they had eat to humble pie, and I think in future the central government would not repeat its mistake in other states.
For the BJP, Rawat's return proved to be a loss of face given the manner in which the centre imposed President's rule. The party, however, put a different spin to the events.
कांग्रेस ने बहुमत को खरीदा है, कांग्रेस को बहुमत वहां मिला नहीं है, लेकिन कांग्रेस ने उत्तराखंड की जनता के बहुमत को खोया है और यहां इन्होंने खरीदा है. तो कांग्रेस पता नहीं किसकी जीत का जश्न कांग्रेस मना रही है.
Soon after the judgment, the Union Cabinet recommended the President's rule be invoked in Uttarakhand.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जो वहां आदेश था उत्तराखंड में, वो आदेश के हिसाब से वहां जो नतीजा निकाला, उसके हिसाब से आज केंद्र मंत्रिमंडल ने राष्ट्रपति शासन वहां समाप्त करने के लिए राष्ट्रपति जी को सिफारिश करने के लिए निर्णय लिया है.
Uttarakhand was plunged into political crisis soon after 9 Congress MLAs revolted against the Harish Rawat government. After a contentious vote against Rawat's budget, they joined the BJP that led to the government losing its majority. The centre then imposed President's rule in the state just a day before Rawat was told to take a trust vote. Rawat then challenged the decision, after which the Supreme Court directed the vote of confidence on May 10th and barred 9 disqualified MLAs from taking part in the voting. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And in news from Parliament now, the Lok Sabha has been adjourned sine die 2 days ahead of schedule. 10 bills, including the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016 and the Anti-Hijacking Bill, were passed during the 3-week session, which saw no adjournment due to disruptions. The 8th session of the 16th Lok Sabha, which commenced on the 25th of April, had 13 sittings spread over 92 hours and 21 minutes. The session, which was initially the second part of the budget session, was a new one, in fact, as the House was prorogued after the first phase that ended on the 10th of March. This session was to conclude on the 13th of May, but was brought to a sudden end on Wednesday. The session also saw discussion on the alleged irregularities in the Augusta-Westland helicopter deal, during which the government and the Congress traded charges against each other. Another highlight was the passage of the budget in respect of Uttarakhand for 2016-17. The hill state was brought under President's rule on the 27th of March, which was revoked yesterday. The drought situation in several parts of the country was also discussed at length. The House also held one short-duration discussion under Rule 193 regarding drought and drinking water crisis in many states and the need to consider interlinking of rivers and water resource management.
I am happy to inform you that in the recent past, this is the first session in which House was not adjourned even for a single minute due to interruption. आज का incident छोड़ो, due to interruptions, and I thank the entire House for cooperation extended to the chair. The House stands adjourned sine die.
And in the Rajya Sabha, it was a record of sorts. The upper house passed 5 bills in a matter of just few hours on Wednesday. The House was under attack for delaying the passage of key legislations. The bills, including some key finance legislations, were passed during the course of a few hours in the post-lunch period on Wednesday. The House sat past 8 p.m. to pass key bills. Now, among the key bills that were passed include the Finance Bill 2016, the Appropriation Bill 2016, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code Bill 2016, the Rajendra Central Agricultural University Bill 2015, and the Indian Trusts Amendment Bill of 2015. The last 2 bills were passed without any discussion. Incidentally, the bill to upgrade the Rajendra Agricultural University in Bihar into a central university was passed both by Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha on the same day, which is a rare development. And the upper house passed the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code Bill 2016. Several members gave suggestions on the implementation of the bill that was already passed by the Lok Sabha.
The upper house passed the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016 unanimously on Wednesday. The bill seeks to consolidate and amend laws relating to reorganization and insolvency resolution of corporate persons, partnership firms and individuals in a time-bound manner. Several members gave suggestions for better implementation of the law and sought clarifications about its scope.
I personally feel that the provisions of this bill, which also will help in collecting, collating, and authenticating and disseminating the information which is required for investors, for entrepreneurs, and for all stakeholders.
बैंकरप्सी इंसॉल्वेंसी कानून है, इसने जो बहुत सारे कानूनों को, जो मल्टीपल कानून जो इस विषय क्षेत्र में थे, उनको सबसे पहले यूनिफाइड करने का काम हमने इसके माध्यम से किया है.
इसकी अपील कहाँ करी जाएगी और इस पे किस कोर्ट का अधिकार होगा? कहीं ऐसा ना हो कि वो कोर्ट अपने अधिकार को, आजकल वैसे भी जुडिशरी छोटे से छोटा जज जो है वो भी जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट में पहली पोस्टिंग में पाया है वो भी आज अपने अधिकारों का जिस तरीके से इस्तेमाल कर रहा है, तो कहीं इस एक्ट का जो हम जिसलिए लाए हैं इसका दुरुपयोग न हो, एक तो हमारा ये आपसे अनुरोध है.
महोदय, यह विधेयक एक प्रभावी विधि ढांचे का निर्माण और बाजारों के विकास में सहायता एवं उद्यमशीलता के विकास को गतिमान करने में सहायक सिद्ध होगा.
The workers' dues are to be given the same status of all other important, not only secured creditor, but also the workers' dues should get the equal primacy when the dues clearance of different stakeholders situation arises. Why 2 years? Why not the entire dues of the workers, legal, legitimate due, and workers' due becomes due only after they give their labor. That is their earned dues. It is not the other kind of dues. So I will urge upon the minister in this area. I think the entire legitimate earned dues of the workers, including the statutory dues, must be included.
ये क्यों बैंक्रप्सी बैंकों ने नहीं देखा और हजार करोड़ जिसने दिया, क्या कुछ प्रावधान है इसमें बिल में कि उनके ऊपर कुछ एक्शन लिया जाएगा, उन लोगों के ऊपर रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फिक्स की जाएगी? क्या उसके जांच करने के लिए कोई भी व्यवस्था इस कोड में, इस व्यवस्था उसमें है?
Replying to the discussion, the finance minister and his deputy clarified several provisions of the bill and assured that the new will be properly implemented.
Sika will eventually go. That's the first. Sarfazi will have to be amended and brought in line with the change provisions of the bankruptcy law. There are some changes which are required to be done. I have introduced those changes in the Lok Sabha today, and that I have had it referred to the joint committee, and that is why I insisted that the same joint committee should look at it, because they've dealt with this act.
Joint committee for ensuring that it was 24 months worth of workmen dues that we protect in this manner. Of course, we as a government are trying our level best as well to create a robust safety net so that it's not necessary that our workers are reliant only on a company or a job.
The bill was referred to a joint select committee of both houses that made more than 100 unanimous recommendations that were included in the bill by the government. Vishal Dahiya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And the upper house also unanimously passed the Indian Trust Amendment Bill 2015. The bill that further amends the Indian Trust Act of 1882 was earlier passed by the Lok Sabha.
Sir, I move that the bill as amended be passed.
Motion moved that the bill as amended be passed. The question is that the bill as amended be passed. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have, the ayes have, the ayes have. The bill as amended is passed.
And Finance Minister Arun Jaitley defended the expensive KG Basin gas project while discussing the finance bill in the upper house yesterday. He said international consultants have certified that the block holds 14.4 trillion cubic feet of gas reserves, thrice the size of Reliance's KG D6 block. He said exploration is a risky business where well drilled may yield nothing from one place and might yield from other place. He also added that these are very high investment projects. In 2005, the then Chief Minister of Gujarat had announced that the Gujarat State Petroleum Corp's discovery holds 21 TCF of gas reserves. GSPC was to start production from KG8 by 2013, but the project has not started yet due to commercial production. Hence, opposition Congress alleged a scam of 20,000 rupees crore, which was mostly borrowed from public sector banks.
These are very high investment projects. You may dig at 5 places, you may waste all your money and get no gas or no oil. At the 6th place you may get it. And you are here looking in terms of very deep sea exploration. Sir, exploration itself is scientific, but it also has an element of gamble. You can, for mining purposes, for oil exploration, for gas exploration, you can keep on digging. You may get it, you may not get it. And international experts, international certified agencies have now certified it is not 21 TCF, it is not 1 TCF as you mentioned, that at least they have internationally respected agencies have certified that 14.4 TCF is available in that particular field.
And staying with Parliament, the government has virtually rejected the opposition's demand for debt waiver to farmers. The centre said it is continuously monitoring the drought situation and urged all parties to work together to deal with the problem. Replying to a short duration discussion in the Lok Sabha on drought, drinking water crisis and interlinking of rivers, Agriculture Minister Radha Mohan Singh said the Modi government has done a lot for the farmers in 2 years and this work cannot be compared with the previous government's work in 60 years. On the opposition's demand of debt waiver to farmers, he said one of the members from Maharashtra had stated that such a scheme launched earlier have had many faults. On the allegation that ministers are not visiting drought-affected areas and villages, Singh said several meetings have been held in the Prime Minister's office at the highest levels with the chief ministers. He also asked the states to spend the amount received from the centre for farmers on time. With that, time for a very short break. Lots more coming up on the other side.
Translation means converting knowledge into
products useful for improving the quality of life. So we need to apply that knowledge to find solutions, and that is what we are trying to do, you know, in this institute. Somebody who has understanding of biology, somebody who has understanding of medicine, somebody who has understanding of engineering. If a team is put together, can we then develop novel diagnostics?
Watch Eureka with Dr. Sudhanshu Brati, Dean at Translational Health Science and Technology Institute, only on Rajya Sabha TV.
Thanks for staying with us on Breakfast News. On to the latest in the Bihar road rage incident now. Former JDU MLC Manorama Devi, whose son Rocky Yadav is accused of killing teenager Aditya Sachdeva for overtaking his vehicle, is now absconding after being booked under the Bihar Excise Amendment Act of 2016. She faces arrest for storing liquor bottles in her house despite complete prohibition in Bihar. Amid fresh revelations each day, opposition pressure is also mounting on the ruling JDU to act against its former leader. Hours after her son Rocky Yadav and husband Bindi Yadav were sent to judicial custody, suspended JDU MLC Manorama Devi has gone into hiding after an arrest warrant was issued against her. Officials say her mobile phone has been switched off since Tuesday, soon after the arrest of her son. The warrant against her has been issued for violating the new prohibition law in Bihar. The Gaya police had recovered at least 6 bottles of Indian-made foreign liquor from her residence while conducting a raid to nab her son Rocky, who had shot dead a teenager in Gaya in an incident of road rage. Now, as per the new prohibition law in Bihar, possession of liquor is a cognizable offence under the Excise Act. The offence attracts 5 to 10 years jail term and penalty of up to 10 lakh rupees.
वो इस केस में नॉन एफआईआर एक्यूज बन गई हैं, इसलिए उनके लिए वारंट के लिए न्यायालय में प्रे किया गया है.
Officials of the Excise Department and the Gaya police sealed her posh residence in Gaya on Wednesday. Efforts to locate the former JDU legislator have now been fast-tracked.
शराब की बोतलें पाए जाने के क्रम में जो चीजें आई हैं, उसी के क्रम में ये आगे की कार्रवाई है, जो सीलिंग की कार्रवाई की जा रही है.
Manorama Devi could also face charges of helping her accused son escape after killing teenager Aditya Sachdeva, as court records show she had been in touch with him while he was on the run. And trouble for her does not stop at that. She could also be tried for employing a child servant at her home who was found by the police during the raid. As the case against the former JDU leader gets murkier, it has become increasingly difficult for Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar to fight the opposition's allegations that Jungle Raj has returned in Bihar.
क्राइम पर जीरो टॉलरेंस की बात करने वाली जो सरकार थी जेडीयू की, उसको जो है वो क्राइम उनके आते ही जिस तरह से बढ़ा है, बेतहाशा क्राइम और अपराध बढ़े हैं और अपराधी जो है वो भयमुक्त होकर के अपने आपराधिक गतिविधियों को कर रहे हैं, उसको उन्हें देखना चाहिए.
The Bihar government, however, maintains that law will take its own course no matter how powerful the culprit is.
हम विश्वास दिलाते हैं कि जो दोषी है उस पर सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई होगी. इस केस को हम लोग अच्छे से लड़ने का काम करेंगे. जो दोषी होगा कोर्ट में उसको कड़ी से कड़ी सजा हम लोग दिलाएंगे.
जो भी गलती जनता दल यू या सहयोगी पार्टी का कोई भी नेता या उसके परिवार का व्यक्ति करेगा, किसी को बख्शा नहीं जाएगा. कानून सबके लिए एक जैसा है और उनके विरुद्ध जो भी मामले दर्ज होंगे उसमें कार्रवाई की जाएगी.
The incident also reverberated inside Parliament, where BJP MPs alleged complete lawlessness in Bihar and demanded imposition of President's rule in the state. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And a day after the UK refused to deport Vijay Mallyas, the Enforcement Directorate is now mulling attaching domestic assets and shares worth about 9,000 crore rupees owned by the liquor baron in connection with its money laundering probe against him and others in the IDBI bank loan fraud case. ED officials on Wednesday said that the agency has already begun the exercise of identifying and valuing the countrywide immovable assets of Vijay Mallyas in order to place them under attachment under the criminal provisions of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Banks will also be taken on board before attaching these assets under the PMLA laws. The agency will also inform market regulator SEBI about its move to similarly attach Mallyas' shares in various Indian companies so that no third-party rights are created. As per preliminary assessment done by the agency, the value of the assets will be around 9,000 crore rupees, which is equal to the total default of bank loans which Mallia is accused of. However, in a major setback to liquor baron Vijay Mallyas, revenue officials in Goa have allowed the lenders to Kingfisher Airlines to take physical possession of the Kingfisher Villa in Candolim. The villa, valued at 90 crore rupees, used to be Mallia's base in Goa. And on to some international news now. At least 94 people have been killed in 3 car bomb explosions in Baghdad. In the bloodiest day in the Iraqi capital this year, the attack also hit a market in a Shiite-dominated area. The attacks were claimed by the Islamic State terror group. It came after the government logged in a political crisis that some have warned could undermine the fight against the jihadists. The worst bombing struck the frequently targeted southern city area of northern Baghdad, killing at least 64 people there. The blast set nearby shops on fire and left debris, including the charred, twisted remains of a vehicle in the street. Another suicide car bomb attack killed at least 17 people at the entrance of the northwestern neighborhood of Kadimia, which is home to an important Shiite Muslim shrine. In the Jamia district in western Baghdad, another car bomb went off in the afternoon, killing at least 30 more people. A total of around 150 people were wounded in these 3 bombings.
عالم ميتة ومذبحة وهنا وضحايا وشوف الدماء بكل مكان. ناس فقرة، ناس جاية طالعة على باب الله اللي يوميته 5 واللي يوميته 10 واللي يوميته 15 ورايحة ضحايا على مود شنو بس نريد نعرف. فتجاوبنا هاي الحكومة الفاسدة. هاي الشعب يندمر من وراه.
First, our condolences go out to the families that were affected by the bombings in Baghdad today. As we've seen, as the enemy loses more and more terrain, they resort to some of these desperate acts. The security forces in Baghdad have the situation under control, but our condolences go out.
And it's been more than 10 hours into Brazil's Senate debate about ousting President Dilma Rousseff from office, with the pro-impeachment forces looking certain to win tonight's vote. Rousseff stands accused of illegally using government funds to mask the true state of the Brazilian economy. If the senators vote for a full trial, Rousseff could be suspended for up to 180 days.
The clock is ticking for Dilma Rousseff. Brazil's Senate is in session for more than 10 hours to vote on whether or not to put the nation's first female president on trial on charges of breaking budget laws. Each senator who has registered to speak will be given 15 minutes to air their views. With more than 60 of the 81 senators taking up the offer, the session is expected to last around 15 hours.
A minha expectativa é de que tudo ocorra normalmente e que esse momento só servirá ao Brasil, só ajudará no aperfeiçoamento das instituições, se não danificar a democracia.
On Tuesday, in one last-ditch effort to stop her impeachment, Dilma appealed to the Supreme Court to stop the proceedings.
É um momento decisivo. É um momento decisivo para a democracia brasileira, esse momento que nós estamos vivendo hoje.
The government asked the Supreme Court to annul impeachment proceedings, arguing that they were politically motivated and had no legal basis.
Conhecimento já feito pelo Supremo Tribunal Federal de que ele agia com desvio de poder, inclusive tendo praticado, como disse, atos a posteriori dele ser réu, mostram indiscutivelmente a nulidade de todo este processo.
But the top court rejected her last-minute appeal to stop the impeachment vote. Meanwhile, the police fired tear gas at protesters gathered outside Congress. According to the military police, 5,000 protesters were present in Brasilia, 4,000 against impeachment and 1,000 in favor.
Mais corrupto de la minha vida. Eu tenho 70 anos. Não há corrupção maior que acá.
O impeachment não ocorra, porque se ocorrer a gente vai tomar as ruas e é assim que a gente consegue fazer com que a democracia aconteça, nas ruas, ocupando os lugares.
Rousseff has called the impeachment process an attempted coup. Several leaders in Congress are also accused of corruption, including the Senate president. A week prior to the 11th May vote, Vice President Temer was fined for violating campaign finance caps. meaning that while he could take the reins from Rousseff in the short term, he may face a year-long ban on running for office. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
US Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump appears to have softened his stance on temporarily barring Muslims from traveling to the US. Trump said he may set up a counter-terrorism commission headed by former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani to study his immigration policies. The committee would also have a relook on his controversial proposal to ban foreign Muslims from entering the United States until America's security has been assured. He, however, did not elaborate on when the committee would be set up. Meanwhile, Giuliani has called Trump's idea of a Muslim ban unconstitutional. He said that a ban on Muslims would violate the Constitution and there can be no religious test on who is allowed inside the country. Donald Trump earlier proposed a ban on Muslims entering the United States after attacks in Paris killed 130 people last year. The suggested ban has been widely criticized in the US as well as abroad, but Trump until now has stood by the proposal, saying it was needed to ensure US security. And a look now at all the latest sporting action in the sports beat. European champions Real Madrid are the world's most valuable soccer club for a fourth straight year, according to a Forbes poll released on Wednesday. The Spanish club's value fell 3% this year, but their $694 million in revenue, the highest of any sports team in the world, was enough to keep them at the top of the list. Spain's Rafael Nadal booked his place in the third round of the Italian Open on Wednesday with a 6-3, 6-3 victory over Philipp Kohlschreiber. The 7-time tournament champion and 5th seed has now beaten the German 13 times in their 14 meetings. FIFA unveiled the timetable of its delayed bidding process for the 2026 World Cup, with President Gianni Infantino's plans for a 40-team tournament to be decided upon by October and a final decision on the host to be made in May 2020. Soccer's world governing body said it would consider allowing joint bids and review a rule which bans the same continent from hosting 2 successive World Cups. A Formula One delegation inspected the readiness of the Baku City circuit ahead of the Grand Prix of Europe on Wednesday. The commission delivered a hugely positive verdict after the check, declaring Baku City circuit as being on track to host its first ever Formula One race. And that's all we have for you in this bulletin. Thanks for watching.